America is known for a lot of very big things, like the Grand Canyon or the Empire State Building, Mississippi River, and jumbo-sized sodas. Another very big thing to come out of America is this. It's the new generation Nissan Pathfinder SUV. This is built in Tennessee, which, side note, is home to Dollywood, but I digress. This thing has got seating for 8 people and it is squarely aimed at growing families. With so many good quality large family SUVs already available, is the Pathfinder late to the party or is it a worthy addition to the segment? You're about to find out, but first, don't forget my full written review is live on the CarsGuide site now, and feel free to give us a like and subscribe while you're at it. Right, let's get down to business. How much is the new Pathfinder compared to its rivals, and what do you get for your money? Well, do you want the good news or the bad news first? The not so good news is that the Pathfinder has gone up in price by quite a lot. The old Pathy hasn't been around for a couple of years now after Nissan sold the final allocation well before the new one got here. And we all know that inflation is a thing. But the starting price for the new gen Pathfinder is $54,190 before on-road costs. That's $10,000 more than the previous base model. It's also a higher starting price than a number of other car-based family-friendly SUVs of a similar size, like the Toyota Kluger, the Mazda CX-8 and CX-9, Kia Sorento and Hyundai Santa Fe. The good news is that it's actually more affordable than the only other 8-seater SUV in its price range, Hyundai's Palisade. More good news is that you get a lot of car for your money. Grades include the ST, STL, TI and new TIL, with a mix of 2- and 4-wheel drive depending on the grade. Standard gear in the base ST is impressive and includes 18-inch alloy wheels, keyless entry and start, 3-zone aircon, heated front seats, power adjustable driver's seat, a 10.8-inch head-up display, 9-inch multimedia touchscreen, digital radio and a 6-speaker audio system. By the time you get to the flagship TIL, you have leather seats, ventilated front seats, 20-inch alloy wheels, 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster, wireless charging, a 13-speaker Bose audio system and a lot more, including a lengthy safety features list, but more on that in a bit. Remember the rugged Navara-based Pathfinder from the 80s? Or the other rugged Navara-based Pathfinder from the early noughties? Well, it's clearly come a long way since then. But there are still some rugged elements to the new Pathfinder. I actually think it's very handsome in the metal, much nicer than the bloated previous generation version. In fact, out of the 3 new SUVs Nissan's launching at the moment, so this, the Qashqai and the X-Trail, I think this is the best looking by far. The interior might not be the last word in design, but it's a cohesive look overall. I probably wouldn't say it's the most premium looking cabin, but it's more visually appealing than a Kluger's interior. It's also light years ahead of the old model that had an interior that looked and felt old even when it was new. The Pathfinder has a super practical cabin and it starts with space. It's roomy and allows for plenty of space between you and other occupants. The space is used smartly too, with loads of storage options up front, including a little ledge above the glove box. As well as ample room for bottles and more in the doors, there are a pair of cup holders, a phone holder, wireless chargers in TI and TIL, a decent sized central bin, and the very handy under console ledge for stowing items. All Pathfinders have a 9-inch multimedia screen that, like the X-Trails, is easy to use and features visually appealing graphics. The Pathfinder was in dire need of a cabin tech upgrade and this model delivers. The front seats are flat but comfy, and aircon and other controls are easy to reach and use. This big Pathfinder is even bigger than before. There is more second row legroom than the old model, which is great news. Now, I'm in the TIL, which is the flagship variant, and that's the one that gets these captain's chairs. It does reduce capacity from 8 seats to 7, but they are pretty comfy, and I think big kids will love this second row. You've got air vents up here, which I think is much better than down here. And you've got digital climate controls as well, and that's across the range in the Pathfinder. USB-A, USB-C, map pockets, and a number of the 16 cup holders that are throughout this car. Now, this console here, which is quite handy, can actually be removed if you need access to the third row. There are 3 third-row seats, and getting in and out is much easier than expected thanks to Nissan's one-touch second-row folding function. There's obviously not a great deal of room for a 6-foot-tall adult like me, but plenty of room for young ones. One seat in the third row has ISOFIX points, while the 2 captain's chairs in the second row have ISOFIX too. In 8-seat versions, the second row outboards have ISOFIX and the centre is top tether. There's a generous underfloor storage space in the Pathfinder's boot that will fit loads of items, and lowering and raising the third row is super easy from the boot area. With all rows in place, the Pathfinder can take 205 litres, which is less than the Palisade's 311 litre capacity. But lower the third row and that increases to 554 litres, which again is not as much as the Hyundai at 704 litres. Under the Pathfinder's large bonnet, you'll find a 3.5 litre V6 petrol engine delivering 202 kilowatts of power and 340 newton meters of torque. If that sounds eerily familiar, that's because it's the same powertrain from the previous Pathfinder, so this engine has been around for a while. One key difference is that Nissan has swapped out the decidedly average CVT for a new 9-speed automatic transmission. It's front and four-wheel drive depending on the grade, and there are various drive modes including Sport, Eco, Snow, Sand, Mud/Rut and Tow. Speaking of, the Pathfinder maintains its 2.7 tonne towing capacity, which is a bit more than the Kluger's 2 tonne rating. As mentioned, the 3.5 litre V6 engine in the Pathfinder is a carryover engine. Not much has changed over the old model. There's enough response when you put your foot down, but it does feel a little bit lazy. It's almost like there's a hint of lag there. The big news under the skin, of course, for the Pathfinder is the new 9-speed automatic transmission that replaces the CVT of the old model that a lot of people hated. This new box is for the most part pretty smooth, but it can be a little bit jerky depending on your speed. A car of this size and weight is probably not going to win any awards for handling, but honestly, the Pathfinder's pretty good when it comes to cornering. It's a little bit top heavy when you're going around a tight bend, but that's kind of to be expected. Nissan has made a number of tweaks to the suspension setup in the Pathfinder, and for the most part the ride is really good. It does soak up most bumps and ruts except for really sharp potholes. But certainly around town you'll have no complaints about the ride in the Pathfinder. Nissan's done a lot of work to improve refinement in the Pathfinder, and that comes down to things like cabin noise, which is noticeably improved over the old model. It's probably not quite as quiet as the new X-Trail, but it's still pretty hushed around town, and on highways there's a bit of road noise, but it's honestly not that bad at all. At one point during the launch drive for the Pathfinder, we actually towed a jet ski, which was about 750 kilograms. Now, when that was attached to the back of this thing, there was a bit of lag on takeoff, understandably. But without carrying that load in a straight line, it's actually pretty quick when you put the foot down. The Pathfinder's steering is weighted on the heavier side, and it feels a little slow to respond. But I actually don't think that's a bad thing in a big family car like this, especially if you're prone to distractions from kids and that kind of thing. Because if the steering is too sensitive, then you could easily find yourself on the other side of the road. But I actually think this is kind of the perfect sort of steering for a car like this. It's fair to say the Pathfinder isn't the most fuel-efficient large SUV out there. On the combined cycle, the big Nissan consumes 10 litres per 100 kilometres. That's the two-wheel drive. The four-wheel drive is a bit thirstier at 10.5 litres. A Kluger petrol variant drinks 8.7 litres and a Mazda CX-9 8.4. The Pathfinder is yet to be tested by ANCAP, but it has a generous list of standard safety gear. The base ST misses out on front parking sensors, a surround view monitor and Nissan's ProPilot semi-autonomous driver assist system that connects the adaptive cruise with stop and go and lane keeping aid. But it does have auto emergency braking with junction, pedestrian and cyclist detection, all the other expected features and a front centre airbag to help cushion the blow between the two front passengers in the event of a side impact. My review on the CarsGuide site has the full details on the safety spec. A new Pathfinder comes with a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty. Buyers also have access to capped price servicing for the first 6 services, and it can be prepaid for the first 3, 4 or 5 services. Pricing ranges from $351 for the first service up to $1,625 for the 6th service of a 4-wheel drive Pathfinder. The schedule for the servicing is every 12 months or 15,000 kilometres. The Pathfinder also comes with 5 years of free roadside assist. It's really exciting to see a brand like Nissan get its mojo back. Between this and the X-Trail and the CarsGuide, we're about to see a lot more Nissans on the road. Now, the bones of this Pathfinder might be old, but it looks and feels modern, and it has tons of road presence. It's also pretty good value and hard to fault when it comes to practicality for family duties, all while looking pretty cool in the process. So welcome back Nissan, and welcome back to a much, much better Pathfinder. For more on the Nissan Pathfinder, head across to the CarsGuide site for my full written review.